Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at Utrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the Yakima RidgeBack hanging style bike rack right here on our 2020 Jeep Cherokee. So this is the RidgeBack bike rack, which is great for if you want to carry a multitude of bikes. So you can get this in the 4-bike or the 5-bike version. So if you're going for quantity, this is really good for that. But you also get some of Yakima's premium features that make it a quality hanging style bike rack. I always prefer getting a platform rack if needed, but you can definitely see that there are pros to a hanging style bike rack for when you want to carry more without taking up as much space. So the way our bike is mounted here is we have 1, 2, 3 mounting points. That third mounting point is our anti-sway cradle. So this is also what we're going to take off first when you want to take the bike off. Notice how you just pinch on the sides and then you get to pull that zip strip out. And now you have a big difference when it comes to the sway of our bike. And then just do the other 2, so 1 and 2, and now you can take your entire bike off. Notice how with our anti-sway cradles in, it makes it easier to maneuver that frame around. And now we'll take a closer look at the cradles themselves, especially with the bike off. So notice how we have this really nice material over here. This is going to cushion our bike's frame. You also have that groove on the inside for your cable lines on your bike's frame. Now you also have that top zip strip. This ratchets down to secure it, but you also have that nice soft material on top, so it's covered on both sides. So do the same with all your other zip strips. Now, even if your bike is not on there, I highly recommend putting these zip strips away just so that they're not going to get lost and you just kind of keep track of them. One thing I recommend doing is after a while you can rotate your zip strips and switch them out. Let's say you use this cradle a lot. You can switch it out with a cradle you don't use a lot. Kind of like how you rotate your tires, you can rotate your zip strips. So for the RidgeBack, notice our spacing for our cradles. Measuring from center to center, they sit at about 5.5 inches. The Yakima Back Road is a similar bike rack with more spacing if that's what you're looking for. This is going to help you still stay compact as a bike rack without taking up too much space. And whenever you're carrying anything on your hitch, you're going to have some length added to the back of it. Now, since you're carrying around multiple bikes, it's going to be a lot of length added to the back of our Jeep Cherokee. So measuring from our bumper right over there to the end of the bike rack, which is by these 2 signature Yakima bottle openers, this sits at about 41.5 inches of length added. And if you have the 5-bike version, add about 5.5 inches to that. So you can definitely see how carrying around a lot of bikes could definitely add a lot of length to the back of your Jeep Cherokee. So whenever you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a really tight spot, that's definitely something to be mindful of. Since you are carrying around a lot of bikes, you are taking up more space. I know that your vehicle is on the smaller side, so you are going to have to think about, do I have enough garage for all of this? If you do want to make this a bit more compact or portable with the bikes off, what you can do is you can swing these arms down. So see this big gray lever right over here? You're just going to want to lift that lever up, and that will allow you to swing these down. So with the arms in the stowed position, it comes a little bit closer to our bumper. So our clearance is going to be from the bumper to those cradles about 4 3/4 inches. Now the length added to the back of our Jeep Cherokee is from the bumper, or right where we measured earlier, right there, to the furthest point, which is going to be at the end of these cradles. They sit at 12 inches added to the back of our Cherokee. So big difference compared to when these arms were folded up. You'll definitely want it in this position when you're not planning on going out for a bike ride, but you also don't want to take your bike rack off completely. This is definitely a lot more compact. Now, what if you want to access your hatch? What you can do is you can tilt the bike rack away as long as the bikes are off. So you have this lever over here. You're just going to want to pull that lever and then just drop that down. And you can see how we actually have a really good tilt here on our bike rack. So if we want to access our hatch and open that up. I got the keys right here. There we go. You can see how we have plenty of clearance between our door and our bike rack, allowing us to get into our trunk, grab whatever we need. So whether it's helmets or waters or even coolers, that's how much space you have. Now you do have to take your bikes off just because you do have that great tilt. Definitely not something you want, because then your bikes would end up on the ground. So it is gonna take up a little bit of time, especially compared to a platform rack where you can tilt them away with the bikes on, but still faster than taking the bike rack off completely. Now let's talk about living with this bike rack, especially with it folded up like this. You won't be taking up as much room as if you had your bikes behind you. That's definitely going to be in the way. But notice how the height of our bike rack sits right above where our windshield wiper is. So you'll still get a really good view outside of your rear view mirror. Also, notice how our tail lights are visible, which is great. Now, our backup camera and our license plate sit right behind where that bike rack is. It's centered on the back of your vehicle. That's just gonna happen with really any hanging style rack you get and most of your platform racks. If that's gonna be a huge issue for you, you may want to consider the Transfer V2 4 bike rack, which has a unique goalpost design. That's probably going to be your best bet if you still want your license plate and backup camera visible, even with a bike rack on. Now let's talk about how this fits into our hitch. So this has an 1.25 inch shank with a 2-inch hitch receiver. And then it's a tool-free install. You just pop it in there, line it up, and then just get your kind of safety bolt in place. And then what's really doing the work is going to be your speed knob towards the end. So this just rotates and extends a wedge inside your hitch receiver, and then you can lock it, then it just free spins. So just to demonstrate how that works, let's do a quick shake test. So I shake the bike rack by the shank. Notice how I'm really just moving the vehicle at this point. I know some people are worried about when bike racks have an 1.25 inch shank with a 2-inch hitch adapter. They think maybe having an adapter creates a little bit more space to shake around, but you just saw right there that it's a secure fit. That wedge works with holding it together to the hitch receiver, making for a smoother ride for your bikes overall. You'll still get that sway on the road. That's unavoidable, but it's nice to know you don't add to it by having an improper fit. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Now lastly, we're going over some full speed bumps, and we can see here the up and down action, and this will just be like driving in and out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway. If you're looking for something that helps you carry a lot of different bikes, this would be a really good option for you, especially if you get the 5-bike version without taking up too much space. If you're looking for a more premium experience but still staying in the hanging rack category, maybe the Yakima back road would be a better option for you, since you get a little bit more spacing between your bikes, but it's also a longer bike rack. You get your pros and your cons. If you want a platform rack, I definitely recommend something like the Transfer V2 4-bike platform rack that allows you to tilt the bike rack away with the bikes on and then access your hatch, but again, takes up more space as well, and it could be a little bit pricier too. So all in all, you see the advantages of this bike rack, you see the disadvantages. Is a different bike rack for different types of people, but hopefully this video helped you out with figuring out if it's the right type of bike rack for you, your bikes, and your Jeep Cherokee. And that was a look right here at our Yakima RidgeBack hanging style bike rack right here on our 2020 Jeep Cherokee. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.